Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article, share on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1: when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please utilize the headphones. Trigger warning 2: this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they're watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. I apologize for any lapses where I just ramble on and lose my space, whatever. You get where I'm going here, folks. I just got off of work today. Would you like to hear about my like to hear how much being a call center sales sucks? Okay, so when you have a person calling in and you explain to them that that place they are referring to in their town is not a store, it is a warehouse off limits to the public, and that you do not have any storefronts. This is not the moment in time to start griping about the fact that there is no storefronts. You are speaking to a peon. What the hell are we going to do? You know? And yeah, no, I'm not going to listen to that for 15 minutes. Jeez. We're just the lowly sales and customer service agents, folks. You complaining to us about this will do nothing. If you want to hit the suggestion box, just email corporate under the contact us button and do not trouble us poor ass agents who are already suffering from the multitude of Karens we had to deal with in a single hour, okay? All right. Sorry. Had to let out some steam there. Okay, back to where we were last time. Remember that JRC is trying to argue in regards to does their device cause PTSD? On a technicality, you can say that it does not directly cause PTSD, just like nothing really directly causes any form of mental health issues, except for a few. You get what I'm saying. We're talking about specifically in the area of trauma. No, the machine directly, if we want to get really, really stupidly technical and go down a road that has nothing to do with the conversation at hand, sure, okay. However, we can prove, and we have studies dating back decades to do so, that when somebody goes through a traumatic event, or when you're at the JRC and you're subjected to a multitude of them every single day, those individuals tend to develop some form of PTSD down the road. So, mincing words here just makes this person look like a moron. Okay? It's an idiotic argument to make. We are speaking in regards to something that is a mental health issue that millions, possibly billions of us survivors get to deal with on the daily. Please stop with the stupidity. Spare us and spare yourselves. But let's continue to read the FDA speaking on it, shall we? Further, as discussed in the paragraphs that follow, regardless of how single shock is perceived by a particular shock recipient, the FDA believes that a series of shocks can be traumatic to the individual and give rise to psychological harms, including anxiety, stress reactions, learned helplessness, acute stress disorder, and even PTSD. I believe that the JRC gives them pretty much all of the above. All right. Now, particularly if you're neurodivergent and you've gone through some trauma, take all the horrific crap that you somehow, by a miracle of God, managed to survive. Now, I'm going to need you to turn that to 11. And the reason why I said that is a couple of things that were major factors with me. Sensory. I have hypersensory. So that means the pain doesn't become less for me, it actually increases. Okay? Yeah. When you've gone through that form of trauma and you see that person who caused said trauma, you are probably going to flinch. It is a natural reaction, a way of trying to cower and protect yourself from as much harm as humanly possible. Okay? If you are shocking someone just below the lethal limit, I have absolutely no problem being able to wrap my brain around the fact that the survivors of that device who have an understanding of what actually went on and what was done to them, they're going to have PTSD. And if you want to dig into semantics, let's talk the Andre McCollins case, where it so psychologically messed with him that he was in a catatonic state for 2 months. Yeah, we like our receipts in this community. Just saying. But let's move on, shall we? When the recipient does not have control over the shocks and has previously received multiple such shocks, the risks may yet be greater because you have no control in that situation, folks. There's no way to get away from the pain. There is no escape except throwing that device as far away from you as you can and running it like a bat out of hell. And even then, a lot of times they get picked up and taken back to that hellhole. But let's continue, shall we? Finally, the vulnerability of this patient population and the circumstances of the event, including the interpersonal nature of the trauma, the ongoing nature of the shocks, and the fact that the device is attached to the recipient's body, may further increase the risk of psychological harms. That's putting it politely. But from what we know of the few survivors who have come forward, particularly Jennifer Masumba, who's talked about her reactions and her PTSD that she deals with, it's made quite clear that the mental health issues, especially mental health issues that may have not even previously been there, are now permanent. Okay? You sleep deprive, shock, and have your staff jump out at these kids multiple times a day. There's going to be some mental health issues that stem from that. That's just basic logic. To try to argue, but not, but you can't say that it's doing it directly. Technically, it's not an argument, Karen. That is trying to avoid the question in the most idiotic way I've seen in a good long minute. Remember, we deal with stands on the semi-regular. Oh, don't even get me started on the anti-vax crowd. I will never leave this video ever again. But the point is simple. When you go through some traumatic shit, you're probably going to end up with a few mental health issues. These kids are very obviously being brutalized and tortured. Does not even surprise me in the slightest bit that they've come away with mental health issues. And to make the argument not that these things are actually going on, but that because it's not directly, like, you're not hooking the brain to the GED, shocking it, and then like chemically causing PTSD is an idiotic argument. Especially the fact that you had the balls to go before a panel like this and try to actually legitimately argue this. You see where I'm going with, folks, right? Remember, folks like this vote. There are also the individuals who tend to have the reins on the majority of all super PACs send help, all right? We're going to close out. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time this afternoon. As always, folks, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you in a few seconds.